Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And in support of that mission, we've been doing these free mentoring roundtables for years and years and years. It started back in the fall of 2008, so it's more than 10 years that these roundtables have been a fixture in the global entrepreneurship ecosystem. This is the 427th session of the free roundtables. The event is being recorded. You will find the recording of this and all prior events on our YouTube channel, 1M1M Roundtables, and there is a lot of learning material. If you're looking to plug into a body of material that will inevitably help you learn a lot, this is a great one to latch on to. If you are live tweeting the show today, please use hashtag 1M1M. And our Twitter handles are at 1Mby1M and at Romana. Both of those are channels through which we publish a lot of very interesting, educational, inspirational, informative content. Now, these are the call-in instructions for today's call. We're going to have a number of scheduled programs before we open the line up for call-in. We have a discussion with Daniel, and then we're going to have a couple of four other presentations. So we have lots of programming before we are ready for call-ins, but there will be call-ins, and you're very welcome to call in, ask questions. But in the meantime, use the public chat. Send the chat to all participants and participate in the public chat. We're starting today's session with Daniel Keiper-Knorr, founder and general partner of SpeedInvest. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Romana. Thanks for the invitation. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning. So Daniel, let's start by getting you acquainted with our community. Tell us about you, your investment focus, about the firm, how big is the fund, what size checks do you like to write? Just get to know each other.
Sure. Thank you. So SpeedInvest is a venture fund out of Vienna, focusing on pre-seed, seed, early stage into Series A. We are doing digital only, so we're digital pure play, but within digital we are more or less agnostic. When it comes to investment topics, our typical entry tickets are around 500K. In the first round, we can invest a total of up to 3 to 5 million per startup over several rounds. However, entry tickets range from as little as 100K to up to almost $1 million. We look into practically asset everything, but doing this since 2011 now, we are in our third fund generation that we invest from. In total, we manage 230 million euros assets under management. We are just raising a new fund this year. Again, staying with the same strategy, pre-seed, seed, and early stage, digital pure play, pan-European. So our current portfolio across the four funds that we currently manage is more than 120 investments across 23 countries, ranging, say, from Portugal up to the Baltics, from the UK down to Israel and Turkey. Selectively, we go beyond Europe. So we have we have 2 direct investments in the US. We have 1 in Brazil, 1 in Russia, 1 in Ukraine, which we actually consider Europe. However, the lion's share of the portfolio origins from German-speaking Europe, which is a natural thing given us starting the firm back here in Vienna. But German-speaking portfolio is just about half of the portfolio, and the share is decreasing. to the benefit of non-German speaking Europe countries.
So you do both B2B and B2C, Daniel?
We do. However, our own entrepreneurial DNA is from B2B business. So the core team that founded SpeedInvest back in 2011. It's been a team of 6, including myself. We ran a mobile messaging business, which in 2006 we sold to Verizon. And so our own entrepreneurial DNA is digital B2B enterprise, but still we look into consumer and e-commerce and B2C. However, it's very selective. We can probably dip into some cases, which I'm happy to elaborate a bit later on. But the bigger part of our portfolio is in B2B, but don't be shy showing us a good B2C cases, which has recently tapped into the e-scooter business in Europe. We are invested in the world market leader in spirit e-commerce. So typically we go for either momentum cases like the scooter business or so non-obvious things that have been overlooked by the VC herd, where you can get in early at reasonable terms, work with the entrepreneur for the first 1 to 2.5 years, a bit under the radar to really get the company in shape, and then break it out in a meaningful Series A that they will raise in the range of 3 to 10 million, typically from European follow-on VC funds, such as Atomico, Index, and others.
So let's actually double-click down on your portfolio, and what I would like to do in the next segment is have you take us through when these companies came to you, in what shape did they come to you, what stage, and what is it about them that attracted you enough for you to make the investment. So what I'm trying to do here is to familiarize our community with your thought process.
Okay, I'm glad to. So typically we try to be, let's say, the first institutional investor coming on the cap table. However, we don't see ourselves as a typical institutional because we run a very specific model which differs significantly from the standard 220 VC model. Say a partner managing 50 million, supported by 2 to 3 principals and double the number of analysts and associates. Our model is different. As said, we manage 230 million currently. We're doing this with a team of 50 people, spread in offices in chronological order of their opening: Vienna, San Francisco, Munich, Berlin, London. So we run a San Francisco office ever since, from day one. Back in 2011, we already had the third of a team full-time based on partner level in San Francisco. That team over there typically helps us in screening and benchmarking deal flow. So when we identify a company over here in Europe, we quickly show it to our US partners and see if this idea gets them going in a way or is not exciting to them. And once the company is on the portfolio, the US office helps a lot with fleshing out the US go-to-market strategy. Also, and then a later stage when they're approaching the later funding rounds, they do a great job when it comes to presenting those companies and pre-qualifying potential follow-on investors and make sure the entrepreneur has only to do those meetings that are worthwhile attending, and we try to spare him from all those empty kilometers that typically are there when you go out on a fundraise campaign. So at what stage are the companies approaching us? As I said, we are trying to deploy a first ticket of 500K. This implies, of course, a valuation in the range of, say, 2 to 5 million euros, which per definition is seed. So a company in seed is definitely pre-product market fit. This is at least our understanding from the European perspective. We like to see companies pre-product market fit. However, they should have at least a prototype working or first POCs, not necessarily commercial POCs, but at least productive POCs where industry corporates are taking on the software, running it at least in an internal test environment, speaking for the B2B space. And we regard ourselves, the role for ourselves, as helping the company move it quickly towards product market fit. Because we try to get in between minimum viable product alive and product market fit not totally reached yet. Some signs there, but can be false positive. So our job is together with the entrepreneur, take his product, bring it together to the market, work on the positioning, and maybe run through a pivot together with him or her. And all we do is pointing to the target of getting the company Series A ready. This means shaping out the product, testing the market, winning some first customers together. Maybe if it's in SaaS business, bring them over into the renewal phase of the contract with as little churn as possible. Take together the entrepreneur enough, take the learnings out of the market, refine the product, stock up the team. Typically, entrepreneurs pitch to us in the first moment where in a good deal of cases the team is not complete. However, of course, the core team, the driving force, the entrepreneur is there, but clearly the SVP level is not. Maybe even there are some blanks in the C-level founder team as well, which we then running our own HR unit, helping our portfolio to recruit, trying to fill those blanks, getting the team complete, the product in shape, the market tested, and then with those signals from the market with reducing sales cycles, increasing order volumes, and all those things that tell us that the company is about to approach product market fit. And in terms of a SaaS business, this is the famous 100K MRR number that should be clearly in sight. However, we start fundraise for our portfolio companies the A round when they get past 60 to 80K MRR with a clear path to crack the 100 within the next 1 or 2 latest 2 quarters. Just for one example, we had one company in the portfolio in the edtech space, also an area that is not so much in fashion with the VC industry very recently, but still you can find super talented teams. The market is still large and growing. And as in the recent, say, 3 to 5 years, it probably was all about analytics. Nowadays, and in the coming 2 years, it's going to be all about data quality. Because all that AI and ML stuff will never work if the data quality is not there. It's not just about quantity. Quality is just as important. So, for example, take the whole mobile installment download business for apps and games and entertainment, also utility apps you have. All those fake downloads there, they're all coming in the top end of the funnel of all those analytics programs, and they then process the dirty data. This is completely worthless. You make sure that the data is clean, and with clean data, only with clean data you can extract insights that are truly useful to really grow a business.
What percentage of your portfolio, Daniel? What percentage of your portfolio is B2B SaaS?
Probably a third to a half, at least. Yeah.
And the rest, what percentage of the rest is B2B still?
Well, there are other increasing. So we just recently detected the investment topic of industrial tech. So like startups with software for industrial appliances, which is not necessarily SaaS because these are large enterprise contracts where you do one contract that pays you 500 to $1 million ARR, and you do 2 of those contracts a year. This is not the classical SaaS model. That's not even if you take that
but if it's a subscription fee business
analogy from
considered SaaS. At least in Silicon Valley it is. There are a lot of enterprise SaaS companies in Silicon Valley.
Of course, it is. If you put it all together, the compartment B2B and SaaS, that's typically I would say 2/3 of the portfolio.
Okay.
So
now,
this is clearly the.
Yeah. So can you comment on what are the trends in Europe in that domain, in whether it's B2B, SaaS, enterprise software, subscription-based enterprise software? What are the trends, and what is, if you were to highlight what is Europe's unfair advantage today in that domain, what would you say that is?
I would say that clearly in that space, which is dubbed AI and ML. Big data, AI, ML, that's all kind of these are all related terms. Of course, they all have their individual phase, but I think this is a space where Europe can have an edge globally. Of course, the competition is awake, and especially when you look to the Far East, China, Japan, and Korea, especially China, they will have their stake. But where Europe can really differ is when it comes to startups that cater to what makes the European economy work. And the typical European economies are run by manufacturing and financial services. There's not that many large consumer brands. Of course, there is a single, but consumer, I would say, in the US is a much more important thing, also due to the fact that it's such a large common market, one language, one currency, more or less a similar mindset, whereas in Europe you have to deal with kind of 15 languages, several currencies, taxation, and this, of course, to B2B and SaaS, this makes not such a big difference, but in consumer, it does make a difference. You have to address every single country's consumer base with its own narrative language. It comes down to such simple things as like when you here live in Austria and you call customer service of whatever product, can be a software startup or for day-to-day use, and there's someone picking up the line not speaking your dialect, that feels strange. It still does. Even if it's a German-speaking, native-speaking person that comes from the other end of the German-speaking area, it feels totally weird. And this is simply a fact that one trying to do consumer in Europe has to bear in mind. It's totally not an issue when it comes to enterprise. And this paired with the fact that it is our strong belief that the European entrepreneurs, engineers, not the enterprise, the engineers, are heads up with the good engineers all over the world. We experienced this ourselves when we sold our company back then. We strongly believe in European engineering talent. What it lacks in direct comparison to especially the US is probably that market-centric thinking. And this is kind of what we see as our task in working together with the tech entrepreneur, in educating them on how to bring product to the market and apply design thinking out of the perspective of the user and consumer.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch a little bit the line of questioning. There's one topic that I want to explore with you, which is very much in line with what you're saying about the European market and its relative fragmentation due to language and culture and the country country boundaries and so forth. In Silicon Valley or in the US market, in the Chinese market, and even in India right now, there is this kind of traditional venture capital. Every deal has to be $1 billion TAM, every investment has to go from $0 to $100 million in 5 to 7 years.
Yes.
This kind of thinking, the unicorn thinking, is prevalent. But given the fragmentation that you're describing in Europe, I imagine there are lots of opportunities for smaller TAM, more niche deals where you can invest and you can still make very good revenues, very good, build very good businesses, except that there are certain dynamics that are a bit different, right? They have to be built more capital efficiently. You can, let's say, build for $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, and sell for somewhere between, 15 to 30 million, or build for 5 to 10 million, sell for 50, 60 million. Are these acceptable deals for you and for some of your compatriots?
I'd say yes. Looking back to our own history, our first fund back in 2011, that was a 10 million small boutique. Yeah. So running such a small fund, you of course typically do those deals, and still we stuck with our plan to have entry tickets of 500K, and if that grows tenfold with no further dilution, probably one additional round where you keep your pro rata and put in another $500,000, and then that such a company sells for in the bracket of 25 to 50 million, that can still be a good deal. However, of course, with a growing funds volume, to return the reward to your LPs is of course getting a bit difficult. So you must have a very high quota of successful exits in that valuation bracket to make the whole fund model work. But still, especially for SpeedInvest, this is actually a line of thinking that we work along. Also, given the fact that I would say like 80% of all exits happen below 50 million enterprise value.
Exactly.
And if you read the news, you only get those the $1 billion stories. And the other space is totally overlooked. If we can help the entrepreneur, we run a small M&A team in our fund that also works alongside the investment managers team, just monitoring the portfolio and seeing who is probably developing in a way where it's probably organic growth, cash flow positive, doing kind of 10, 20 million revenue a year, and then very targeted look for potential exit partners. However, if you do such exits, it's very helpful if they come very early in time. So holding such a company for like 8 to 10 years and then doing a 20 to 50 million exit is still better than a write-off for all parties involved. And still we see this as our own responsibility towards the entrepreneur because he opens up to us, he takes us as a shareholder into his company, he has the right to expect contribution. And this is our day-to-day business, raising funds and structuring M&A. To the entrepreneur, this is a once-in-an-entrepreneurial lifetime experience. To us is, I don't know, I have like 10 companies concurrently that I fundraise for at the moment.
Yeah.
So absolutely, we go after these deals. However, it would help a lot if these are going to not be financial exits to PE companies. These are strategic buyers then coming in, and that space that is just opening up to acquiring startups at a larger scale in Europe.
Yeah.
And that's it's an extremely good sign to see.
Yeah. Okay. Are you based in Vienna?
Me myself now, yes.
And is there entrepreneurial activity in Vienna, in the city?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are hosted here in a large co-working space where we are a permanent renting an office on a permanent basis. In the floor below us, they run acceleration programs. It's 3 batches a year. There's a lot of things going on. I said in our portfolio, historically still a third of the complete headcount is Austrian entrepreneurs. Of course, this is shrinking as the portfolio grows and we increasingly source from other parts of Europe. But there are good entrepreneurial stories coming out of Austria and, of course, also in the wider aspect of the region, say Central and Eastern Europe. Super cost efficient. An engineer over here costs a third than what he costs in the valley and can do the same. I love Vienna. $1 investment gets you 3 times the runway that he buys in the valley. And it's super cost and capital efficient. Public grant system is very attractive, and this makes up a bit for probably the corporate space not being so active yet, but we are working towards that this will change. So we're totally happy here. We could not imagine having built SpeedInvest anywhere else.
Very good, excellent, wonderful conversation. We have a lot of stuff going on in Europe. I don't know if you saw, we announced last quarter, I think, a partnership with EIT Health, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and their digital health program. And at this point, it's our program and their program is getting very deeply integrated. So, and we have a lot of European companies in our portfolio.
That is totally exciting. So digital health, e-health, whatever you name it, is one of the emerging topics that we increasingly look at. We have probably a tenth of our portfolio is already in e-health.
Great. Very good. All right. So that is an excellent introduction, Daniel. We look forward to doing some more work with you now that we have had a chance to touch base and get acquainted a little bit. I will move us next to the entrepreneur pitch section. Daniel is staying on for some of the pitches at least. Folks, let me set a bit of expectations, and then I'll hand you over to start doing your pitches. First and foremost, this is a safe working session. You don't need to worry about feeling nervous or uncomfortable or anything. We are on your side. This is purely to look at what kinds of problems you're dealing with. We do this day in and day out. As Daniel said earlier, for you, you're doing it once in a lifetime. This is what we do on a daily basis across, tens of thousands of entrepreneurs. So it's an enormous amount of knowledge and experience that is accumulated on this platform in this community. And what we're trying to do is to give you the benefit of that experience. It is very possible that you might disagree with the feedback that you get today. That's okay. It is your venture. You will decide what strategy you want to follow. One thing you should remember, though, not all businesses can raise money. Not all businesses should raise money. And raising money does not guarantee success. If you have any doubt about what I just said, especially that last sentence, go look at the debt by overfunding section of the 1Mby1M blog. Just do a search on debt by overfunding, and you'll see company after company that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars and imploded, basically. So raising money doesn't necessarily mean success. In the same vein, on the other extreme, we have bootstrap companies that have become unicorns. So both are possibilities, and most, the bulk of the activity happens somewhere in the middle, where you raise either a small amount of money or a good amount of money, and then you build businesses. And we are perfectly okay with that entire spectrum. If you want to build businesses without raising any money, we will help you bootstrap your business. If you want to raise a small amount of money, we'll help you with that, etc. But there are criteria. Each of those have parameters. You have to be able to convince investors, and we will check that. We will help you with feedback on how to achieve that. So we're going to start with Nedra Fabito in Encinitas, California. Nedra, could you unmute your line and tell us what you're working on? Is Nedra on the call?
Yes,
yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
perfect.
we can hear you. Nedra, where is Encinitas? I don't know where Encinitas is.
Great question. So we're about 30 miles north of San Diego. It's a beach community north of San Diego.
Okay. All right. Very good. Tell us, what are you working on?
So I'm working on Luvvul, which is a shopping and personal styling app. My background, as requested, I started a slide about myself. My background is I'm definitely a merchant from the retail and fashion world. I'm not a young entrepreneur. I have some experience, about 30 years in the industry. So I thought I'd get into technology at my age, which has been quite an experience and lots of fun. But I have built many brands for large and small companies on a direct-to-consumer business model, starting in the catalog industry at a very young age with large companies like Spiegel, which is owned by Otto Versand in Europe. So great learning from very early on. And really, this came about as my observation, as I've done throughout my career in launching brands, in watching consumer behavior. And I don't see what I'm doing here is much different than what's happened in the past in the way consumers have purchased, except for that they want to purchase in a different way. They want to be inspired. They want experts to show them how to dress, and now they're just doing it via social media and Instagram and by hiring stylists, which are now mostly free, which wasn't true 4 or 5 years ago. The next slide is just where you find us, so we can kind of skip through that. It's more of a reference. So Luvvul really is more than just an app. It's really a revolutionary retail company. It's powered by the app that we've built, but there's a purpose behind the company. The 2 ways that you can engage with the app is to be styled, similar to a Stitch Fix, except for you have a real person stylist. Stitch Fix's business model is minimum age, people that they train. They have a very strong algorithm, high respect for the companies that have done amazing things, and really created a market that didn't exist before. And then the other way to shop is to browse and buy from these same stylists, like an Instagram or like To Know It. If you're not familiar with those, I can get into them. But basically, it's shopping from a feed. However, when you shop from an Instagram feed or a Like To Know It feed, it takes 19 to 50 clicks to buy a product. 50% of the time it's out of stock. It's a horrible consumer experience. The consumer wishes to buy from these influencers, but there's not a clear path to purchase or a great consumer experience. So we have engaged 40+ suppliers. That's from my relationships and years of experience, and some new people that just believe that this is the future of retail, because they can see everybody in our industry is engaged with trying to understand and figure out how to engage with influencers, but again, there's not a clear path to monetization for the influencer, and there's not a clear path to return on investment for the retailer or the brand.
So Nedra, have you launched this app already, or is it already circulating, or is it a concept?
The MVP is built and in the App Store, and we're in user testing mode.
Okay, and how many users are in the testing phase?
We have 20 stylists. So our first user is the stylist, which is the influencer. So that's who we're testing with right now. And we're also just starting very light consumer testing with their customers, as well as friends and family, with 50 customers. So
your assumption is that you're going to recruit the stylists and they are going to bring their customers onto your platform?
Correct. Plus, we're going to be marketing, which I'll get to, plus we're going to be marketing directly to consumers ourselves. So the customers will be coming two ways, one through the stylists and
Nedra? Is the line dropped?
once there's
Nedra, you went silent for a little while, so if you said something, we couldn't hear you for the last minute, 30 seconds or so.
Oh my gosh, I can hear you perfectly. I didn't realize. I'll start talking about the business model now. Thank you.
Talk about the business model. We want to hear about the business model.
So it is a purposeful business model, but it does have a large potential market value. The idea here is that we're really empowering women's collective creative success. That's my personal passion. It's what I've seen in the business and working in fashion and brands for 30 years. We've seen there's 1/10 of the brands in the marketplace, 1/10 of the independent retailers in the marketplace, because we know big is getting bigger. There's no choices in product because big is getting bigger. And the creativity in fashion, which is so important to keep this as an art form and an important business model, is declining because there's not a path to monetization and not a path to profitability. So this really is a big idea.
Model?
The business model is that we are a retailer. So we're purchasing product at wholesale price. As you can see in the circle in the middle, we're selling it at retail price, and we're paying the stylist commission. So it's pretty simple.
Okay.
It's a retail business
model. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So you have to build up inventory, basically.
Actually, we've built the entire business model to start. I think we can sustain this up to about a $5 million level on a direct ship model alone. So I'm not carrying any inventory at this point. That's really a startup plan. It is not it's not a plan for growth. We will have to carry inventory because the types of brands that we're working with will not be able to keep up with our growth.
Okay. All right. So let's go to your questions because I have a number of people that we have to work with. I think we understand what is the business. We understand what you're trying to do. Where do you need help?
So where I need help is we can go straight to here. What slide you're on there? So let me mention a couple of things. I'll quickly go through these. We know the problem. I can skip over that. It's a terrible shopping experience all around. Our solution is this app, as well as we're also creating pop-up events. It's very important that there is a culture built and a community built around a retail experience, and we have started with that. We did our first one in November. It went extremely well. So there is a physical element as well, but there's not a typical bricks and mortar retail element. They're pop-up events. So it's low cost, high impact, community culture, and sales driven. So our progress, as I mentioned, we do have a robust MVP developed today. It's just been App Store. We've started using it, as I mentioned. We have the stylists and the brands. We do have some testing with social media advertising that we've done. So we do have, now we didn't have the app up. So all we were doing is asking them if they're interested in the product and will they give us their email address to communicate with them. So we have validated a possible customer acquisition cost in terms of direct-to-consumer marketing. My challenge right now is capital and my thinking in terms of next steps. I completely bootstrapped this stage, which was to get this product, to get this MVP. I mean, this thing was in my heart and in my brain. I built it. I got, so I've had seed money. So this has cost us about $350,000. And we got to this point right here. So my next step is, my challenge is figuring out my next step. I have a business plan that is that unicorn business plan. I absolutely believe in it. It is clearly possible based on all the information that we have to date that gets us to that $1 billion mark in 5 years, like a Stitch Fix. but I still feel like right now what I probably need to do is continue to bootstrap, which means I need some capital to create revenue.
You're not going to be able to raise a lot of capital at the moment from institutional investors, at least based on the understanding we have of what's happening in B2C and e-commerce. This is a stage where until you start showing transaction velocity, I think it's going to be very difficult to raise money for what you've shown me so far. I'm going to let Daniel comment, and I'll give you some more thoughts as well. Daniel, go ahead.
Further.
What do you think?
Interesting concept. However, hearing your story, I sometimes had kind of an echo because I thought I might have encountered similar ideas so far, which there clearly are. So I totally believe in the space of this inspirational shopping. So that is the new shopping experience, because nobody, I think, is happy strolling downtown on a free Saturday afternoon, while you could do experiment and inspirational shopping Friday night on the couch. So two things are, I think, important here. First is, and I have shopped from Instagram myself, the strange stuff. And the experience was, I can't remember having had those 15 to 90 clicks that you mentioned, but maybe I just overlooked them. But still, it's a great channel and it works. My question was, and probably that's a bit late in the process, as you have the app already, I question myself, does it still need to have an app? And why not go with the OTTs directly and purely with Instagram, Facebook, and the upcoming other services? So that is a question I would put to the test if I was you. Aside of this, what you need to produce and show is not so much revenue, but is data. User journey, how many clicks can you create? How does, I assume you have not spent any much money on marketing yet, but if you paid traffic versus organic through the various channels, how much audience can you create? How much, attention can you get? How does this convert into further down clicks and eventually purchases? Because this new approach to consumer and shopping is totally data driven. So and I think you would be well advised to really monitor this right from day one, because the more data you have historically, the better you can tell your story when it comes to a really significant fundraise. I'd say there is chance to raise capital. I mean, you've proven you can bootstrap such a company until today. Of course, there will be some capital requirements coming up, especially when you start to engage with marketing, and retail is. To me, retail is a function of real estate and marketing, and logistics, of course. So the next question is, how quick can you deliver upon a purchase? Because the really frustrating thing is not so much...
Daniel, I'm going to take over from you, and we're going to need to wrap up this presentation and go to the next one. But let me very quickly summarize a couple of more thoughts that I have that are, I think, actionable, Nedra. I would focus on these, the people that you're paying commissions to, the stylists. And this question that Daniel asked you about, do they really need an app? The best people to answer that question are the stylists, right? The stylists are going to 100 different Instagram influencers and different sites and so forth, and putting together a collection for their clients. So your real customer is not the consumer. Your real customer is the stylist. And if you can convey... Yes? Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I want to answer the app question because it's a critical, that's the base of the business. So Daniel, the Instagram shopping experience, if you're buying one item or two items, it's fine. It's beautiful. This is about styling an outfit, which has 3 to 5 to 6 items. So in order for a customer to buy anything from Instagram, they have to click to 5 to 6 different websites to purchase the item, make 5 to 6 different purchases.
So the user is not the consumer, the user is the stylist. So that is why
the answer is yes. They think they need the app because they don't have any way to monetize their Instagram business. It's almost impossible for them. So all of these.
So your user is the stylist, and you're going to need to work with these stylists and gather data about how the stylists are using your product and generate transactions to validate that this mode of building a business is working. And then you need to understand the unit economics and see if this is scalable. How many stylists are there, and what kind of business can they generate through your app? Because there is the issue right now is that not a lot of independent e-commerce businesses are getting to billion-dollar levels. Stitch Fix is a huge exception, and part of the problem that is that Amazon has taken over every single category. So if you talk to investors, they'll tell you what is a category that Amazon is not getting into, where you can create a differentiated experience. I do believe that you are creating a differentiated experience. So there's something differentiated in what you're proposing, but you're going to need to show whether that scales. You're going to need to show what is the TAM of this kind of behavior. How many customers use stylists? Is that a common behavior? So there's a whole bunch of things that you're going to need to establish to be able to raise capital. And there's quite a bit of work to do before you are ready to do an institutional round.
Yeah, no, I'm clear on that. So then my look for advice and direction from you would be, where do I look for, because obviously I need more capital, more seed money in order to market and to get to these data points.
So hold that question. I will explain how to use 1Mby1M a bit later in the program. I'm going to work with the other entrepreneurs. I want to give you one other feedback before I forget, Nedra. This name that you have here, anything that is complicated to spell doesn't do well as internet brands, because people type in the wrong name and it just creates confusion as far as going to the right place. So you may want to think about whether this is the right branding for your product.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Stephy Wilson, you are up next. Stephy?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hi, very good morning to you all, and I want to thank you, Samana and Maureen, for hosting this event. And I've already learned quite a bit being an amateur entrepreneur. So I'm 25, and a little bit about my background. I'm 25 and I've completed my MBA in human resources. I do carry 3 years of experience working with TomTom and Syngenta. But my journey working in corporates has, led me to, starting a venture of my own. Recroot.ai was a work in progress since 2017, once I had the idea. And I wanted, can we move to the next slide?
Sure.
Okay, one moment. Yeah. The estimated recruitment market worldwide is about $200 billion, and about 3 to 6 million jobs, are posted online. So what am I doing over here is I'm simplifying the process of hiring faster and with a better quality. How I plan to achieve that is I have a platform that allows candidates who want to apply for jobs upload their video resumes. Also, they can take assessments, which is for free for them, and they can assess their skills. These tests are stored, and this is a premium feature for the recruiters in order to in order to analyze whether the person who they're hiring possess the skill or not, possess a skill, say, for example, in coding or marketing or a coding language. So that cuts the time when a recruiter wants to set aside a separate time for hosting assessment tests or psychometric tests.
So, Stephy, I'm not sure I understand the usage model of what you're talking about. Where are you inserting AI? I see a lot of buzzwords on your slide, but I don't see a usage model. Explain to me, if I were a recruiter using your technology, how would I be using this?
Okay, all right. So how the AI works is there are predefined questions based on traits such as employability, creativeness, innovation, etc. So there are these 13 traits and questions based on these traits. So the recruiter, during the interview process itself, he can ask a question to the interviewee or the person who's being interviewed, and what the interviewee speaks gets recorded in the form of text. So there's text-to-speech conversion, and that speech conversion, text-to-speech, speech-to-text conversion, speech-to-text conversion, and that conversion then shows, based on emotion analysis, what, depending on the answer the interviewee has given, what is the employability percentage of this person, what is the creativity percentage of this person, etc. So there are 13 traits like that, and this then eliminates gutting stings and helps the recruiter make an informed decision whether he wants to hire this person. So that's about the AI.
Okay, so why do you need a recruiter in this process? If I'm using your technology, and if your technology is structured right, I would record 20 questions online, and I would just basically give those 20 questions to somebody to answer. I would ask them to answer those questions, record those answers, and run it through your process, take the recruiter out of the process. And then the recruiter gives a short list. Let's say there are 200 resumes that I want to quickly run through, and if this is a whole automated process, then you can have all 200 of them go through this process. Your technology can, pare it down to the 5 that I should actually talk to personally. That is valuable. What you suggested first is not a valuable use case.
Okay, all right.
Does that make sense, Daniel? What do you think?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. Hello?
Does that make sense to you, what I said?
Yeah, definitely. I think it definitely adds value to what the employers will buy or employers will pay for. So this is according to the research, how I plan to eliminate, the candidate experience, what is the candidate experience that they have during the interview process. About 30%, about 45% don't hear back from their employers, and that is because the amount of CVs that they receive, the employers receive, and it's hard to get back to each one of them and tell them how your interview was. Then this goes to the candidate having a bad experience. as to, yeah.
I've heard this from many people. Just recently I was hearing from a guy who's interviewing for a legal position at Apple, and he said he went through 10 rounds of interviews within Apple. Every single interviewer asked him exactly the same questions. So I think what you're saying could conceivably, if nobody needs to not hear back. Every single candidate should be given the same set of questions, and they should record their answers, and your technology then takes the answers, processes it, and comes up with the 5 that should go through the next round. And for each of the interviewers, they have all the recordings of those 5 candidates. They can listen to those recordings, and then there could be one final round of interview and done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you're talking about, I think, is a very interesting problem to solve. Now you have to figure out the technology, which is a non-trivial technology development effort, and I imagine you have not done that yet.
Yeah, well, I'm still getting there, and I think I can definitely use your advice as to how I can get there. So this
who's
is a
going to
little bit
develop
about.
The technology? Do you have a co-founder? Are you a technologist? You're not a technologist, right?
I'm not a technologist, so I've outsourced this to a web developer. I had the idea, and he just found a way to put this into place, and yeah.
You need to find somebody, a co-founder who's a technology person. Otherwise, this product is entirely dependent on whether your technology works or not. Otherwise, you don't have a business here.
Okay, all right.
And we just fine-tuned your idea. You have a better idea based on this conversation, but I don't think you're going to get anywhere unless you can find a technologist who can help you develop the product.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So none of this matters until you are able to find a technology who's going to market it and not going to build this technology. You're going to need somebody who understands AI.
That is totally
Daniel.
true. Yeah. Using tech and specifically AI to make the recruitment process better, that is a topic that is clearly there. So this is one of the areas of the white collar worker space where AI really makes sense. Same as legal and healthcare, for example. Screening through hundreds of applications on one single job opening. This cries for tech help, but you cannot work this on third-party tech. You need to build your own proprietary solution to have that tech advantage and edge over your competition, because that space, the large recruiting tech companies are already looking into this, and in one way or the other, they're going to solve it. You are on the right track for this large enough and fast enough growing market to be attractive to VCs, but still the angle you chose requires that you bring your own proprietary tech to the table.
That's correct.
Otherwise, there's other slots in this value chain that do not so much require tech, but the more they require marketing budget. So it requires either tech effort or marketing budget to claim your stake on this value chain.
Yeah.
The opportunity is there, but you need your own tech.
All right, Stephy, why don't you hold on for the later part of this conversation where I will explain how to use the program going forward. But we have one presenter, Unmesh Mayekar, is going to do his pitch first, and then we're going to go to that section. So if you have other questions, you will have a chance to ask after these presentations. Unmesh, you're up next.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Unmesh?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, perfect. So we are a company based in India. Both me and my co-founder were in the U.S. for almost 15 years. We moved to India, and for the last 8 years, we've been working on this concept that has that is now revenue generating. We are into the supply chain visibility space. So I have an enterprise software development background. I was with a startup that got acquired by Ariba back in '99, and I was with Ariba till they got acquired by SAP. And then I moved to India. My co-founder was with i2. They got acquired by JDA, and then he moved to India as well, and we joined hands. So he was heading the North America sales for i2, and I was heading one of the enterprise solutions for Ariba. So we saw an opportunity to build something in the supply chain visibility space. A lot of enterprises, especially in the retail CPG domain, they tend to outsource the production to to the Far East, and they don't necessarily have the right visibility into the product WIP or the work in process inventory or the quality inspection of the products before they get shipped. So there is a lot of risk with these products. The other aspect is the downstream, which is once the product is shipped into the market, it goes into this distribution chain with distributors handling your products, and then you lose visibility into how your product is doing in the market. Whether it's on the shelf, has it moved, how often is it moving, which product lines are moving. So we were successful in building this business focused totally in India. We have about 200K SaaS revenue, and these have been with us for the last 5 years, all these customers. And it's purely SaaS business. We have no licensed products at all. And we are at the point where both of us have come back to the U.S. Our kids are going to college, so yeah, we've been around for a while. And so we are here, and we see that there's an opportunity to grow this platform outside India as well. So we call it the Intouch Partner Network. So it's a collaboration platform that brands and retailers can get onto and collaborate with either their downstream partners, which could be the distributors or the retailers, or their upstream suppliers.
What is the competition?
So if you can move a few slides. Yeah, just keep going. I think there's a slide for competition. Yeah, next, please. I guess one more.
Not this one, not competitive landscape?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So in this space, so Zyme, Model N, E2 Open, so they are playing in this space. A lot of the work that is being done by these companies is, for example, we've been talking to Zyme. In fact, they were interested in our technology. They have outsourced a lot of this work, and it's kind of an BPO operation. So Zyme has, which was acquired recently by E2 Open, has 600 people set up in Bangalore, which go and do a lot of these, hand-holding these exchanges. So one of the technologies that we have developed is document processing, which automatically parses documents for. So these documents are like invoices or purchase orders, things like that extracts the data, creates it into a structure that can be then put on our platform that is then usable and actionable insights. So yeah, this is the competition. One we came very close to kind of almost join hands with was Zyme until they got acquired by E2 Open, and then those stocks kind of went away.
So what are you trying to do? Are you trying to build the business, or are you trying to get acquired by one of these 5 other companies?
So the goal is to be to get in the target sites of one of these companies as well. But right now, I think both me and Anant, Dr. Anant Mahale, since we moved here, we'd like to grow the business here. So we, our 200K in India is good to get our company going. In India, we have a 17-member team. But for us, in order to kind of set foot into this market, we would like to raise at least a seed round to kind of help fund the two of us to hit the market.
I think it's possible, raising money, given what you have, most likely. So I have to look at your products and positioning in a much more detail, but I think it is possible to raise money here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's where we are. We just hit the shores here, and we're trying to get our own.
And are you?
Again.
Is Austin a requirement? Have you moved back to the U.S. with Austin a requirement, or are you flexible of where you want to set your U.S. operation?
Yeah, we're flexible. We figured, the supply chain. So Anant is in Dallas. I'm in Austin. We figured, this would be a good place to be. But yeah, things are open.
Okay.
I was in California for the longest time, so.
Okay. All right. So I think the good news is you already have validation of, with customers. You have paying customers, and you have a product that is obviously working for those paying customers, which is, a long way already. And then now you have to figure out whether you have to make a credible pitch that you can genuinely compete with these. These are big companies. Monolith, the public company, GD Nexus is a fairly large company. We have the case study. We know them very well. We have Monolith case study as well. We know them very well. So there you have at least 5 direct competitors that you're going to have a positioning to be able to tackle.
Yeah.
Daniel,
in fact, we did have a pilot going. We had a pilot with Hager in Dallas. So Hager is Dallas-based, and they did a pilot with us, and that pilot did go well. We really haven't signed the deal yet, but yeah, we see that there is a promise here, but we haven't really broken ground yet.
Okay. Daniel, do you have comments for Unmesh?
Yeah, quite some. So that whole space, logistics, supply chain, and not so much the physical task of it, but the documentation part of it offers a lot of opportunity. So you're clearly addressing a space where we do see demand. Also, the true B2B space that you're in is also not so much a winner-takes-it-all play. So chances are that your company is going to be a success are probably higher than in other spaces. However, the outcome is not that billion-dollar thing that Ramana, you and me spoke before. But still, it can be a nice, at least 50 million plus enterprise value exit. However, I've seen in the deck you are already working on this since 2016. Maybe it would be worthwhile putting a bit more of emphasis on your development path so far, and how.
I agree with you, Daniel. I think raising a small amount of money and then seeking an exit within the next 1 or 2 years is probably the right strategy with a modest exit. I think that is where the opportunity is. I think I'm completely in agreement with you.
Yeah.
Is that comfortable for you, Unmesh? If that's comfortable, we can work on it.
Yeah. We are not really, tied to what we're building. We'd really love to see this, get to the next level, whatever that level be.
Okay. Terrific.
Also, raising money can be blessing and curse at the same moment. Yeah. You need to know what you're going after.
Yeah. Be careful for what you ask for.
Yeah. No, I think that's why I think a forum like this helps.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes our entrepreneur pitches. We'll have lots of time for Q&A. So line up your questions, and I will put up the slide with the number to call in shortly. You can also put your questions in public chat. Set your chat to send to all participants, and you will be able to communicate with the entire room. And I will pick up questions from there for me, for Daniel, for any of the entrepreneurs. You can put questions in there. And while you're doing that, let me ask you for a few things as a favor. If you like what we are doing here, send entrepreneurs over here to the 1Mby1M platform. We have a very large platform at this point. It's a community of over 500,000 people. Hundreds of entrepreneurs hundreds of investors are involved with us. Many tens of thousands of entrepreneurs are involved. There are lots of companies are involved. We have a lot of corporate partners, all kinds of things. It's a very vibrant ecosystem, and there's a lot going on. There's investments going on. There's partnerships going on. There's customers coming into our companies all the time. So it's a tremendous network, and you're most welcome to take advantage of it. I'm going to walk you through how the program works, and then we're going to go to Q&A. So everything, resource-wise, everything is at 1Mby1M.com. There's a terrific blog with lots of case studies, inspirational journeys, entrepreneur journeys, lots of thought leadership interviews where thought leaders are pointing to what are the open problems in their particular spaces, whether it's AI or big data or healthcare IT or online education, all kinds of trends that we monitor. So go look at the blog. It's free, it's available, it's abundant. You'll learn a lot. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is based on the case studies we do. We've had close to 1,000 significant entrepreneurs participate in our case study program in the Entrepreneur Journeys series. And this includes 50-plus unicorns, 400-plus venture-funded companies, another 400-plus bootstrap companies. And we have published 12 books, 12 volumes of Entrepreneur Journeys books on different topics. All of them are available from Amazon. They're very reasonably priced. And that could be a starting point for your using the platform as well. These roundtables happen every week. Over 100,000 people have attended these. They're free. Come every week, no problem. It's a resource that is available to you anytime you want to access it. Our full acceleration program is 1M1M Premium, and there we offer you extensive methodology guidance. We have an online curriculum that is video lectures and case study based, and we also help you with business development. We have a tremendous Rolodex. It's one of the most powerful Rolodexes in the entrepreneurship ecosystem of the world, not just Silicon Valley, of the world. So you are welcome to use that Rolodex by being part of the full acceleration program, 1M1M Premium. We do versions of these kinds of roundtables where we do project coaching, or you could call it strategy consulting. They are private. They're private roundtables, and they're part of the premium program as well. And we help you with financing. Our entire investor network is also available to our premium members, but with one caveat: just by joining the program, you don't get introduced to investors. You're going to have to work with us to convince me that you are ready for financing. And there is a lot of work involved in that process very often, and we'll be happy to coach you through that process. Finally, we have a tremendous amount of clout in the media, and we are happy to help you access that clout and get the word out about your ventures. This premium program is a $1,000 annual membership fee program. There's no concept of graduation. You can use the program for as many years as you want to, and a lot of entrepreneurs do stay in the program for many years. Go to the website and look at the self-assessment. It's a series of strategic questions, and you are going to need to answer these questions, no matter what. These are questions that will help you determine your strategy. Investors will ask you these questions. We prefer that you ask yourself these questions before you talk to any investor, because you are going to need to be, on top of your strategy. If you get stuck anywhere, and if you need methodology guidance, you can also access 1M1M Basic, which is our online curriculum-only program. That's $99 a month. You could just say that, okay, I'm going to spend a month just studying methodology, and I'm going to spend 50 hours this month just doing that. Fine, do it, and see where that gets you, if that helps you answer, clarify your questions and so forth. And then you can always join premium later, or if basic is sufficient for you, that's fine too. Whatever it is, we've tried to create, this is an effort to democratize entrepreneurship education and acceleration. So what we've tried to do is give you lots of different resources at different price points, but all very affordable price points so that you can learn and you can grow in your journey. Go to the website, dig around. There's tons of information about what to expect from premium, basic, FAQs, video FAQs, description of the curriculum, description of the case studies, and so on and so forth. So you have lots of information. Our philosophy is bootstrap first, raise money later. Methodology is lean, capital efficient bootstrap startups. We do like companies that want to raise a small amount of money, bootstrap with a very capital efficient model, or bootstrap with no outside capital. And we are happy to also help you find exits, even based on that model, or help you find capital to go to the next level. Either way is fine. Whatever you're looking to do is okay. We are big supporters of bootstrapping. That's it. Our next 3 roundtables in January are 16th, 24th, and 31st, all of them at 8 a.m. Pacific. Also, we do in-person rendezvous, and these are in Menlo Park at Cafe Boroni. So if you're either based in Silicon Valley or visiting Silicon Valley from somewhere else, make it maybe a part of your networking plan to come to one of these rendezvous. They are January 23rd, January 30th, February 13th, and February 27th. And February 2nd to 12th, I will be in Europe. So that's why we don't have roundtable or rendezvous during that time. Okay, so time for Q&A. If you have questions, please go ahead and dial in and start asking questions, or start typing questions in the public chat. Anybody? Questions, comments? While you're doing that, Daniel, if any of your colleagues who are running your accelerator in Vienna and so forth want to collaborate with us, we are happy to do that, because we have a bunch of partnerships in acceleration ecosystems in other parts of the world who want a tight link with Silicon Valley, and we were very happy to do that.
Yeah, totally. This was actually that one last question I would have had. Maybe we take this off bilaterally afterwards. I totally love to connect you with my people here. Also, maybe there's a chance during you traveling Europe, have a touchdown over here in Vienna for a day, and meet them. Our place is called WeAccelerate. So WeAccelerate, WeAccelerate.
Okay.
And their aim is very similar, like what you do, but not digital but they physically running an acceleration program, but they want to accelerate 1,000 companies per year. So also big numbers, spreading it also to some fringe regions in Europe. I think there is a good overlap of interest and areas of activities of what you do and what they do. Would be definitely worthwhile talking. May I jump off the call?
Absolutely. Thank you for staying, and we will connect offline and see how to take that opportunity forward. We have a program called Incubator in a Box on our website, so it's all set up for these kind of collaborations.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, thank you, Sramana, for the invite and the chance to talk to you people. Wish you good luck with your program. We totally adore what you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you.
It's the footwork that makes the success in the end.
Yes, absolutely. Well, nice to meet you, Daniel.
Thank you very much. Likewise. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Folks, I see comments coming up here. Unmesh Mayekar is thanking me and Daniel, and Aisha Bello is also thanking us. Great. I'm glad that you're finding it helpful. Scott Fairbairn, how much capital is capital? How much do you need right now to get to your next stage of traction and transactional revenues? Or you were asking these questions, I think, to Nedra. So Scott, I think you should kind of let this advising role, let us do that, because that's what we do. And unless you are willing to work with Nedra, that's something that we will take over. I'm not going to spend time on that conversation. Anybody else? Questions, comments, feedback? So I will tell you a few things, Scott, based on the comments that you're making here. Nedra's background is not AI, right? She's a stylist. So she'll have to play to her strengths. She cannot compete with people who are AI experts and AI gurus. She's trying to cater to other stylists. Her background is merchandising and retail. She's going to have to take advantage of her unfair advantage, which is merchandising and styling. And that's a different strategy. Her strategy should not be necessarily focusing on AI, where she's going to lose that game, because there are many people who are way more qualified than her in AI. She can't play that game. One thing you have to understand, as entrepreneurs, you have to play to your unfair advantage. Whatever is your unfair advantage is going to give you the winning strategy. If you try to play in a domain or in an area where you have no expertise, you're not going to win that game. You're not going to win that battle. And the other comment Scott has made, I'm going to comment on that as well, because you're I think, misleading people a little bit here. I don't agree with your comments. You're talking about whom Nedra is going to raise money from. Every stage of fundraising has a certain set of investors. If you go to our seed capital series on the blog, you'll see interviews with investor after investor talking about different types of investments. Each of them have different stages. So there are lots of traditional VCs that are operating as micro VCs who play in the pre-seed or seed or post-seed or pre-series A levels. Most of the companies who are in the 1 million by 1 million ecosystem need that kind of investor. The ones who are the traditional Series A players trying to put in $5 million as the first investment round are not the right investors for you. But the micro VCs may be, and the micro VCs often invest in stages that are compatible with the kinds of discussions we've had today. All three presentations today would fall in the either angel or micro VC category. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? All right, folks, I don't see other questions or comments. I'm going to introduce you to Irina Patterson on our team, who will be happy to talk to you about the program if you want to have a one-on-one conversation by email, phone, Skype, whatever. Just email her and set up a time to talk to her, and she'll be happy to talk to you to explain or understand what kind of, what your questions are. And that's it for today. We will look forward to seeing you again next week, and also meeting some of you in person at our in-person rendezvous in Silicon Valley. And we'll continue bringing these roundtables to you every week, more or less. And we'll see you soon. Bye.